Titusville used to be a town filled with historical events and moments, the space program having just taken off, drawing in stores and people and booming life. That was then. Now, Titusville is covered in empty buildings and a bunch of people who remember the good old days. Together, the people of Titusville have remained strong through all the hardships. This is the story of a few individuals, stories of heartbreak, sickness, and uncertainty, and how these families of Titusville have stuck through it all in a town that's still fighting to stay above the water. Our first story is of Brianna and her family. They moved to Florida to help with their grandparents' business. Little did they know that tragedy would soon be met in this action.
I was born in Pennsylvania, and then when I was about 5 years old, I moved with my brother and my parents to Florida in Titusville, and my dad worked at Trinetics, and my grandpa was in charge of Trinetics as well. And so it was a family kind of business, but there was other people too. It ended up when things started getting hard and my dad got laid off, he had to look for another job, and there weren't really any jobs because so many people were getting laid off. So Trinetics kind of just ended, and so my whole family, not just my parents and my brother, it was everyone in our family were having issues trying to find places to get work. So my mom was working at the flea market, and my dad, he was, you know, stressing out because he had to pay for the house and pay for our clothes and eating, and we realized that things were getting really hard and money was really tight. And so my dad ended up going to the flea market with my mom and working there. They ended up starting their own business in jewelry. My parents worked weekends, so I didn't see them like at all. When I was younger, of course, I either had a babysitter or my brother had to watch us, or I just had to go into work and help them, and they would pay me, but you know, flea markets are kind of crazy sometimes. It definitely taught me a lot, like where my parents were at and how much, like, you know, money is not, you know, it doesn't just grow on trees. My dad, he worked, since he worked on weekends, I didn't really see him, and my mom either, and it was really hard because, you know, they're not always there, and when they came home they were really tired, and maybe they'd listen, but you know, they're not all the way there. So, you know, it just came kind of like a struggle for me to have a relationship with them. But then my mom, she realized I was home alone, and I'm just, like, you know, still a teenager, so she decided to work from home on the website and everything like that. And my relationship with my mom grew more because she was closer. It just still made it hard with my dad because he's still gone all the time because he was working on the days I'm off. And so I didn't really like have a strong relationship with my dad until like recently, until it was more like he realized like where he was at and how much work was, and now he's been taking a lot more like days off, and so they don't always have to go in as much anymore. So now, like, I can see him on weekends more than I ever have, but you know, it took a long time to get to where we are now.
Titusville's economy affected everyone's family life, but what happens when your family has its very own crisis in the middle of the economic crisis? This is the story of Shai and Shamiria, who were already dealing with so much.
And then Titusville decided that they were going to try to take our house from us. And so for a couple of months we were, you know, living with our grandparents for, you know, half of our elementary years. Mm-hmm. And so we were living with our grandparents about 2 or 3 years while our house was going to get like repossessed or whatever. You know, that was really difficult in itself. And where they put like locks on the door, so we couldn't even get in our house. Both parents were like trying to figure out what we would do next. You know, just wish you could do something to help. You know, try to get us back in the house was, you know, hard as it was for us.
Like, I know for me personally, they're just like, why can't you, if people want to go out somewhere, like, why can't you just go? Why can't you ask your parents for money? Why can't you do that? Why can't you do this? And it's just like, when your parents go through, the kids have a level of going through too. So having to go through that personally was hard for me, per se, because you can't do everything that you want to do financially, because even you're scared to ask your parents for money because you know what's going on.
And plus, our grandfather just got sick as well.
Yeah.
So we had to like help take care of him at the same time. What is it called? Lewy body dementia, when your brain cells are like dying.
Generate slowly dying.
And we would, stay with him, and my grandma had issues with her house too. Not only prices and all that, but what was the proper safety for our grandfather as well, because we had stairs. It was like a 2-story type house, so she had to end up moving, which took a very, very long time to see what was in her budget. Us just being not like so far apart, just in case something bad were to happen to him, we wouldn't be able to respond or get to where my grandma needed our help right away. Was also very difficult.
It was random. Like, nobody had any idea. It's not like it came like slowly. It just hit just like that. So of course anybody's first reaction was, what's going on? No, he was the leader of the whole pack, and for that to happen, because whenever you had a problem, whenever you had issue, it was already taken care of. And now you're forced to stand on your own 2 feet.
And just seeing him over the months just kind of just get worse, because it got worse before it got better. So just seeing him like trying to fight, and there was when he was in and out the hospital, for a period of time, and then he was gone for almost a year or so, where we couldn't even be in contact with him. So that was also difficult for not only for us, but I think it was very difficult for my dad and my uncles, because they didn't have their dad, and we didn't have our grandfather. Period in time where someone had to sit with him. He had to have 24-hour, watch. Like, it was like taking care of like a newborn baby, just someone that just could not provide for themselves, which was very, very like definitely hard. Cause my grandfather was like my best friend, so just seeing him like go through like all that, which is like really heartbreaking for me.
A part of that unit, part of that family, something's missing. It was a lot of sadness and anger at the same time, because this is my grandfather, and it's when you have that someone who, like, the little stuff that teaches you a lesson, and when you don't have that, because when you have that one person in your life who can only do that, and now it's like that saying, you don't know what you have until it's taken away. We actually spent time with them, went places with them, saw him in his right mind. So, and when you try to talk to him, try to get him to remember that stuff, and he doesn't remember, it's heartbreaking. So, in the process, with our house and with my grandfather, that journey in itself, I would definitely say made us stronger as a family.
No matter what struggle the people of Titusville have faced, none of us have given up. We all are standing through the struggles, holding close to those who give us strength. Whether it be that some have to sacrifice, some have been brought closer together through unexpected pains, or some have simply learned lessons of the worth of money, none of us have given up. The people of Titusville fight on. There is still hope for this town yet, because if the people can fight through, then they can also fight to bring back their town to what it once was.